What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're gonna talk about Ben Simmons, the man of the hour, the guy that struggled to even make 2 field goals in the fourth quarter, and everybody is saying, get rid of him. It's time for him to move on from Philly. He was the number one pick by the Sixers, a guy that was supposed to be a transcendent superstar, a guy that can rebound and pass at an elite level, has vision that is of the outer worldly, and has size to play multiple positions, and became a elite level defender in the NBA and did a pretty good job on Trae Young, especially in that last game. And not too many people can say that. Ben Simmons, a lot of people was high on him. Everybody had him going number one. Now everybody's turned on him. Everybody's downing him. Everybody's saying that he's the problem in Philly. Even Doc Rivers had to question Ben Simmons, and he's been going through some turnover the last couple of years. Because I do remember people was questioning him a while ago in the regular season with his ability not to score, not to shoot, not to want to shoot a three. People started turning on him years ago, and this just amplified it just because he had a failure and a complete no-show and a pivotal game 7 that gets you to the conference final, which gets you closer um, to the championship. And Philly has never been to the conference finals with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as they tandem. They just haven't been able to get over that hump. They haven't been able to get that monkey off their back, and it is going to continue as this season was better, the best one they had together. But ultimately, they fell apart and crumbled in multiple fourth quarters in this series and throughout the history of them being together. No matter what coach they have had and personnel around them, they find themselves in a tough situation. One of the biggest questions that I've been asked today: will the Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum swap make sense? No. It wouldn't make sense because I don't think Ben Simmons going to Portland makes Portland a championship team. I just don't see that. It makes sense for CJ because you get a guy that can play a little bit of point, a little bit of combo, and a guy that can score off the dribble, score and pick and roll, play well with Embiid, play well off Embiid because he can catch and shoot. He can put the ball on the floor, make quick decisions, and also knock down mid-range and free throws. Something that Ben Simmons struggles with. But I don't see how it makes sense for Portland because you have Nurkic. I know you want to get rid of him, obviously, because he wants to leave too, based on what we seen in the press conference. And I still don't see where it works because you have a pass first guy that is a great defender, unlike CJ, and that does upgrade your backcourt to a certain level. But you still have a ceiling. And I keep saying this with Damian Lillard as your best player, I just don't see you being a legitimate threat with a with Dame. I'm not a Dame believer. I'm not a Joel Embiid believer. I'm not a Ben Simmons believer, and never have been for none of these guys. But I don't see Ben Simmons and trading Nurkic being the answer to Portland's problems. I just don't see it unless we just see a completely different Ben Simmons than we ever seen, which could happen. He can be motivated by the trash talk. He could be motivated by being traded and being gave up on and being outcast by the Philly fans and the people around him. And even the media is going in on Ben Simmons, and he deserves it. When you have a performance like you had in that game and throughout the series, you deserve to get crushed, but you have to get back up and you have to put in the work and you have to use that as a challenge to get better, not only to shut them up, but for yourself. You should want to be the best player that you can be and you want to be the best teammate you can be. But the problem I have with Philly is the they have the same problems each and every playoffs where you can't rely on Embiid. He turns the ball over a lot. Plus, he flopped in the 2 games in this series that they could have closed it out. And then, if you're not going to be able to rely on your best player to deliver the crushing blows or finish a team off, which Embiid couldn't do either in this series, then what are you doing? I don't see CJ McCollum fixing all those problems when this is what Joel Embiid has done throughout his playoff career. And even though he played better individually, the fourth quarters where it matters the most because you have to win that quarter to win the game, and he flopped just like Ben Simmons. I don't look at it as a Ben Simmons problem. I don't. I look at this as a collapse for the entire team. Even Tobias Harris, he was playing great this season. He was playing great against Washington because he had smaller and littler guys on him, and he was dominating them. But when he played in his Atlanta series, he struggled. He struggled, and that's just not Ben Simmons. It's not just Embiid. These guys have just flopped. These guys have just not got the job done, and they got rid of their coach, and they blamed it on him, and they changed the personnel and added more spacing with Seth Curry and these guys and Danny Green. Danny Green goes out. Seth Curry played way better than Josh Richardson has in his entire career in Philly, and he did it when it mattered most, and which is the playoffs. But he's not the reason either. I look at their main three highest paid players as the guys that didn't deliver. And I don't think just adding CJ makes this team the best team in the league because you still have to get past all the other teams to win the title. So I think it makes sense for Philly. You will lose a whole lot of defense going to CJ, especially because CJ wasn't really right after the injury. He never really looked the same, but he did show that he can be an all-star caliber guy this season when he got off to the best start of his career. This is a guy that can make big shots, take big shots, and can play a playmaking or score role depending on what position and what talent you have around them. And Philly are close to having the ideal team, but you have to ask yourself this question: is Joel Embiid and CJ a championship duo? Is Tobias Harris that guy? Because every time we see him in the postseason, even with Philly, he hasn't been, and he always have these games where he can't make a shot, and a lot of them happen in the most important games. So it's gonna be hard to get off that Tobias Harris contract. Then you trying to get off that Ben Simmons contract when people seen him flop. It ain't that bad because CJ didn't really play well either, in my personal opinion, after the injuries, which give him a little bit of a pass. But you know, I don't see that fixing Portland's problems. It makes more sense for the Sixers. It don't make as much sense to me for the Blazers, unless they make multiple moves after that, which you will have to do. But I'm not going to be sold on a Damian Lillard team being a legitimate championship team unless you get somebody that makes him number two. If you make Dame the number two guy, then I can believe you winning the title. But if Dame is your best player, I just don't see you getting over that hump. And I feel the same way about Embiid. Embiid is always beat up. He's always injured. Even now, he's playing with a partially torn meniscus, and you don't know if he's going to make it through the regular season. You don't know if he's going to even make it in the entire playoff run. Who he has missed games this playoff run too, and those are not concerns. Those are just every season, every playoffs, and you just can't really rely on that because he hasn't been reliable, and even with his play in the playoffs. So I'm out on a CJ Joel Embiid trade. I don't think that it works. I don't think that that's the answer. Would you rather have CJ than Ben Simmons? I think all Philly fans right now would say that, but it makes sense offensively, and you will have to make another move to me if you Philly too, if you want to become a championship team. Because like I said, Joel Embiid is getting older and his body is failing him every year. So you're trying to cash in now. He's supposed to be the process, and he's going to need perimeter help. He is going to need another guy that can get his shot and another guy that can create, and CJ does that. But you still need that third guy because Tobias Harris in the playoffs just haven't been able to get it done either, and he hasn't been reliable. So I think if you're doing a swap, it's all in the heart of the moment. The Blazers disappointed, Philly disappointed, and everybody just going chaotic because of the flops that these teams have done this playoffs. But it's called team building. There's a lot of things you got to take in consideration. There's a lot of things you have to continue to do to this roster because there's other teams in the East that, if healthy, will still be, if not better, just as good as Philly, and they will have to get past those teams to even get a chance to win a championship by getting to the finals. So I'm not going in like that. And the last question that people ask me is Ben Simmons at his peak. That sounds crazy to say that because he's so young still. People make it seem like Ben Simmons is 28, 29, 30 years old. Ben Simmons is not that old. Um, but it do look offensively like if he's not going to shoot, he's not trying to shoot. And even when we seen it in these games, he really isn't trying to do anything outside of just passing the ball or dunking. And then you put on top of that, he's not even trying to shoot a free throw or he's scared to shoot a free throw. That's not going to change overnight, and that's why a lot of people saying get rid of him. His mentality, his shooting is not going to change in 2 months, in 3 months. It's going to be a process to get him to where he needs to be. But the Philly fans are ready to move on from him. Y'all have had him for a long time. Y'all have seen him for a while, and I understand why the Philly fans want something new. They want to switch it up. They want to try something different. They want to go in a different direction. And honestly, I don't blame them. I didn't think this Philly team was that good. Honestly, years ago, they was able to become a legitimate playoff team every single year. But this duo just haven't got it done. I don't know how much longer you can continue to believe in this duo. But I do believe you can say the same thing about Dame and CJ. They have continued to be a first round exit or just a great playoff team each and every year in the West, but they haven't really become a legitimate contender in the West ever, to me. And you want to find something different. You want to see if grass is greener on the other side. And I don't really blame them for wanting to break this up. Terry Stotts is gone. Nurkic is most likely gone. And if y'all keep Dame, which is one of the best players in the world, same with Joel Embiid, it's about finding the right mix and the right pieces to elevate or take them to another level. And with Embiid, rickety tickety body, that's always a ticking time bomb. And Dame not being a great defender, and I really don't see him as the number one option on a championship team ever, especially as he's in his 30s and getting older, kind of make you wonder, will this trade really solve their problems? I will say no. But if multiple trades after these trades to reconstruct the rosters and how they play, then maybe. But the answer is no. The answer is no. Because we only can go based off what we know now. We only can go based off what we have seen from these players and from these teams and how they have performed. And we just seen Philly change the whole surrounding like 4 years in a row. Whether it's the Al Horford team, the Jimmy team, the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons with the shooter team, or even before when we seen them with the JJ Redick and Marco Bellinelli teams, they haven't got it done no matter what they have put around them. So I think we all agree that Portland need to go in a different direction, which it seems like they're willing to do. And it is true, Philly need to go in a different direction. But do it matter if they do it with their swap? I don't think it. I say no. I don't think the swap makes either one of these teams championship teams without 2 to 3 more moves. Because we talking about making these teams from playoffs to championship contenders. I think there'll be more moves that would have to be made to get these players and these teams over the hump. And it also do matter what they put in. But people forget, Philly don't really have that much to give up. Same with Portland. Portland don't really have too many young guys, and Philly have interesting guys, but you're looking for a guy that, because people want to keep Embiid and people want to keep Dame, to me, you have to find guys that are better than them, in my personal opinion, to get over that hump and become a legitimate championship team. And I don't see that out there right now Ben Simmons, we know, is a third your third best player on the championship team. CJ might be your third on the championship team. Those two, no. Those two not going to move the needle enough. You need to think bigger, better. And what I mean, overlap them. Get somebody better than Dame and put him number two. Get somebody better than Embiid and make him number two. When they had Jimmy Butler, they went to a game 7 and almost got over the hump. But I thought Butler was better than Embiid that year, especially in the playoffs. And Ben Simmons was the third best player. And Dame and them got to the conference finals, which is better than what Philly has done, especially in the Western Conference. But they still have backtracked since then and haven't got there again. So they're still trying to figure out what they need to do. So fans, be patient. Wait till something happens. Relax, calm down, drink some juice, clear your mind, see a therapist, see a psychiatrist, and get some good sleep because the playoffs not on today. Stop tripping, stop overreacting, and just let it calm down a little bit and wait till the right move or the right player comes because these teams don't really have that many moves they can make. But if you're going to make the move to get you over the hump, you have to wait till it comes to you or you have to go get it when it's available. It's not available right now. So relax. I'm gone.